Dakle, nakon jako puno vremena traženja, danas sam uspio locirati mjesto pada njemačkog aviona tipa Messerschmitt 109.
For a long time there was a story that the plane crashed on Peljesac, the second largest Croatian peninsula, on its most famous and largest hill, St. Elias, during the Second World War. There was different information, that it was a large American bomber like Flying Fortress, with about 10 crew members, and that one crew member was even of Croatian origin, from the island of Brač, and that his dog tag was even found there. Then suddenly it became a British single-engine fighter. And there was also a story that it was a Messerschmitt of the Yugoslav Royal Air Force that crashed there in the first days of the war. Somewhere in 2018, curiosity pulled me to start looking for that place. Very few people had been there, and they couldn't explain the exact location. It is an area where there are no hiking trails, a completely remote place. Basically, my source of information were two hunters who were up there in 1991, and when I brought them to the map, each showed me a completely different location, 1 kilometer apart, which is really a labyrinth in such terrain. If I had a free time and will, I would move through those wildernesses and not come across any sign. And somewhere around the end of 2020, after I had covered about 30 kilometers of inaccessible terrain and searched where both my cell phone and GPS went out, I decided to give up on that search. And then came January 2021, to be exact, January 6th. I also went to walk the dog in St. Elias Massif. At one point the terrain that I had searched a few months ago opened up to me. I turned on my cell phone and followed the track I had made then to see where I am and what did I search. And then I saw that I had skipped searching a small part. Now the dilemma arose whether to head into that area, which is pretty wild, or not to explore that small part that I had skipped. After a few minutes of hesitation, my dog and I set off into the unknown.
Znači ovo je u principu prvi put, ostavi to, da nalazim dio aviona. Znači prvi fucking put. I nalazim i drugi dio. To te ja pitam. Bravo, ja. Evo i drugi dio. Pusti. Ovo je od mitraljeza, znači od aviona. Tu su i žice. Dakle, danas nakon dugo vremena trud se isplatio. Ono što sam našao sam mjesto pada njemačkog Messerschmitta 109 koji se izgubio negdje na Pelješcu. Precizno datum, broj aviona i pilota te njegovu formaciju u ovom trenutku ne znam. Radi se o njemačkom avionu, znači to je bio njemački lovac. Kako je oboren, nisam siguran u te podatke. Ali jako puno vremena mi je trebalo da ovo lociram, bilo je kao traženje igle u plastu sjenja. Znači ovdje su svugdje razbacani dijelovi, isto nekakav mali dio. A, curka. Znači još jedan dio, ostavi to i vidim veći dio. Dakle, nakon jako puno vremena traženja, danas sam uspio locirati mjesto pada njemačkog aviona tipa Messerschmitt 109. Trebalo mi je jako puno vremena, jako puno slobodnih dana. Teren je iznimno nepristupačan. Bilo je to kao traženje igle u plastu stijena, međutim ja sam to danas uspio naći. Serijski broj aviona čisto sumnjam da ću naći, znači tu na terenu oko mene ima još masu ostataka. Radi se sigurno o njemačkom avionu i postoje znači informacije o zrakoplovnim udesima na području Pelješca, točno ovaj tip zrakoplova. Znači čekirat ćemo, vidjet ćemo, probat ćemo doznat ko je bio pilot, koji je eskadron, datum i način na koji je on završio ovdje.
The darkness was falling and it was time for the several-hour return to civilization. My mind was racing. When I got home that evening, I took a quick shower and started researching what I had found. I dismissed the mystery that there was some American bomber or British single-engine fighter, even before I went to the field. So there was still that Messerschmitt of the Yugoslav Royal Air Force from 1941. But discovery of 13mm cartridges automatically rejected that theory. Namely, the Messerschmitt 109, as the backbone of Luftwaffe through the Second World War, evolved to four main variants: E, F, G, and K. The Yugoslav Royal Air Force had the first variant with 7.92mm ammunition, just like the F variant, so we are left with the G and K variants. However, the K variant began to be mass-produced at the end of 1944, and by then the war on Peljesac Peninsula was already over. So we are left with the G variant. The part of engine you see is the Daimler-Benz 605. This is its crankshaft positioned above the cylinders. Those are connecting rods that are connecting crankshaft to the pistons inside cylinder liners. This configuration, where the crankshaft is above cylinders, was unique for German engines of the period. This discovery became an obsession for me. As soon as I came down from the hill, I was already thinking about when I would go up again. The crash site was found immediately after the war. An interesting piece of information is that a few kilometers from the crash site, in 1944, a strong German stronghold was formed on the very top of St. Elias, and that they probably never found out that one of their planes was there. I'll try to explain that to you later. During the post-war period, there was a great poverty, and a plane wreck like this was a godsend in terms of materials like aluminium, which they used as a secondary material. My task was now to find the serial number of the plane, which is located on just few places on the plane itself, and the chance of finding the number was very slim. I started combing the surrounding abandoned villages where this material was brought from the crash site, but without much success. Plane parts were used to make chicken coops, barns, and also wells were covered with the material. And to this day, I have not been successful in finding a serial number that would confirm everything I will find out later. I spent hours and hours reading about the Messerschmitts, and hours reading about the air war over this part of Europe. I got in touch with a small number of enthusiasts who are involved in aviation archaeology, and the ball slowly started to unravel. What I found out was that I had found the Messerschmitt 109 G6 aircraft. The Messerschmitt 109 was the most produced aircraft of the Third Reich from 1936 to April 1945. 34 to 35,000 units were produced, and of all the variants, the G variant or Gustav variant was the most produced, with the Messerschmitt 109 G6 variant being produced in 12 to 13,000 units from February 1943 to the summer of 1944. So we narrowed down the choice to only 13 to 14,000 possible aircraft. Just kidding. In any case, armed with the new knowledge, I returned to the hill to try to find any detail that might provide me with some new information. I was also looking for the possible serial number of the engine. These are 20mm casings for the MG 15120 cannon. The MG 15120 was one of the most important cannons of the German Luftwaffe in the Second World War. It used small 20mm shells that destroyed increasingly robust enemy Allied aircraft. The range of weapon was about 800 meters. However, German pilots always tried to get within 200 and 400 meters of the target and using this cannon. The Messerschmitt 109 G6 was armed with 120 cartridges for this cannon. Then I found this compressed air reserve cylinder with those nice inscriptions on the valve. Number 39025 is the serial number of the cylinder. Believe me, I hope that it had something to do with the serial number of the plane itself, but it doesn't. The next inscription, the JNH 0.06 liters, stands for the volume capacity of the cylinder, which is, by the way, a very small volume. GEPR 250 atmospheres stand that it was tested at 250 atmospheres of pressure. And the marking FL 30155 means it was aviation material, and this number is German Air Ministry part number that defines this part as a small high pressure air cylinder. The inscription A. Werner and Cooperation Opladen is the mark of manufacturer. In summary, this is the small high pressure emergency air bottle used to ensure the pilot of the plane of this Messerschmitt G6 could drop his landing gear and attempt a safe landing, even if the main pneumatic system was shut out or damaged. Then I found this part with an Argus stamp. Argus was a manufacturer for aircraft industry. I don't know what is this part for. Maybe somebody who is watching this video knows. And this is a control register component for the radio or electrical system of the Messerschmitt 109 G6, manufactured in 1941. The number 26787 indicates it was part of the radio system, and letters FL are the mark for German code for aviation equipment. We already saw it with the compressed air cylinder. This plate marks the venting point of some kind of hydraulic or pneumatic mechanism. And this is some kind of frame, maybe for friend or foe device. I don't know, maybe somebody will know. And this buckle is the most important find. Then it started to snow, but I will be back. This place was luring me like a magnet. I slowly began to narrow my search, and reading various documents and books, exchanging information with other aviation archaeology enthusiasts, I came across fascinating and unknown information related to the Second World War in this area. On December 16, 1943, in the sky above Peljesac, there will be a dogfight between American fighter planes from the 57 Fighters Group and 6 German Messerschmitts from Jagdgeschwader 27, or Fighters Group 27, which were present at the Jasenice airfield close to Mostar from the end of November, supporting the German efforts to occupy the entire Croatian coast of Adriatic. That morning, 8 American P-47 Thunderbolts fighters will take off from their base in Amendola, in the south of Italy. In about 20 minutes they will fly over the Adriatic and find themselves over the Peljesac, looking for the targets of opportunity, because Germans are just then preparing to attack the island of Korčula, which is defended by Dalmatian partisans. What is even more fascinating is that both the American Fighting Group 57 and the German Jagdgeschwader 27 are some of the most famous fighter aircraft units from the Second World War, and they fought against each other in the skies over Africa. One of the perhaps the best pilots of the entire Second World War was Hans-Joachim Marseille, and he was the member of Jagdgeschwader 27. Also Franz Stigler, known from the famous story in which the German pilot spared the American B-17 bomber, piloted by Charlie Brown. He will also come to Mostar airfield at the end of December 1943. Now they will meet again in the skies over Peljesac, and dogfight will begin, which will result in 4 downed Messerschmitts 109s. 2 will fall into the sea, one in the small town of Trpanj, whose crash location I will find later, and the 4th will fall in the area of Bosnia and Herzegovina. What if the plane I found in the hill is actually one of these that are said to have fallen into the sea? The snow has melted. I'm back. Now, on the advice of archaeologists, I've also made a probe. If my plane is one of 4 Messerschmitts shot down in the Peljesac area on December 6, 1943, and we know that one fell in Trpanj, one in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the other 2 in the sea, and those other 2 are the main candidates for this crash site, why do American reports state with a great certainty that those 2 are certainly in the sea? And why is it clear at the crash site that the plane flew in from the west, hit, exploded, and its 750 kilos engine separated and flew hundreds of meters forward? After probing the terrain, I stopped to eat a sandwich. A wild boar was walking carefree next to me. I was alone in the wilderness and my thoughts were swarming in my head. I got hooked on this place. Further research will lead me to another date. 6 days after the battle in the sky over Peljesac, the Germans launched Operation Herbstgewitter II, which was the capture of the island of Korčula. On that day, the weather conditions in this area will be a disaster. Strong southerly wind and low clouds at 200 to 300 meters altitude. No visibility. And then summer came.
Okay, so this is a part of the fuselage. This is the casing for the 30mm round for the MG 131 mounted on the Messerschmitt G6. This is the link for the casing, and this is the skin of the nose horn Viper. Okay, here I am again. It's almost 6 months after the find. Every time I come here I have fun feeling. It's a feeling which is combination of mystery and history opening itself in front of my eyes. I definitely know much more than I knew 6 months before. I narrowed the choice of the possibilities, and we'll see. I still have to prove it.
Although I was unable to find any physical evidence in my search, I was able to conclude who crashed here. Of the 28,000 German fighter pilots who flew during the Second World War, only 2,000 survived and returned home. The young man who flew this plane in late December 1943 never returned to his parents.
From 8 to 12 of December of 1943, in a commanding post of the 5th SS Mountain Corps in Cherokee Brig, Operation Herbstgewitter II was planned. Operation Herbstgewitter was the series of operations with the aim of seizing Dalmatian islands and securing maritime traffic along the eastern Adriatic coast. Operation Herbstgewitter I started on October 23rd, and the goal of operation was seizing Peljesac Peninsula. Fierce fighting lasted for 18 days, and then the German troops entered Ora Beach on November 14 of 1943. Since that time, Germans were preparing a landing on Korčula. Taking of island was to be carried out by 118 Division and their 750 Regiment, and also one battalion of German Special Forces Brandenburgs, which were transferred from Russia to Balkans in August of 1943 to fight Yugoslav partisans. The operation was planned for 16th of December, but cancelled because of logistical reasons. Then it was scheduled on December 20, but again cancelled, And then, in early dawn of 22nd of December, to be more precise, in 3:45 a.m., artillery preparation started on the landing zones for 2,000 German troops. The weather that day was disastrous, with a strong Yugo wind and huge waves and really bad visibility. Naval support was carried out by 2 German torpedo boats and 1 U-boat, so submarine. Their location was west and southwest from the island. Air cover was carried out by the 10th Squadron of Jagdgeschwader 27, and because of the terrible weather, German forces hit 2 of their Messerschmitts. One landed close to the Lovište village, and the other one is here.
I came here looking for a machine, but I found a person. I know the date, and I know who didn't return home that day. He is still out here, resting with his aircraft. Even without a metal text to show to the camera, even without serial number of the aircraft, the archives and the earth tell me who was here. This site isn't just a collection of metal, it's a grave. Until the day his name is officially etched in stone, he remains part of these woods.